field now set and getting ready to go. As I said, we pushed that start to get these drivers onto the racetrack. 30 laps for you here to cap off a day's action. It's been packed. These drivers started it at 8:45, back on it here as well to cap off the day. A gorgeous day here. The high heat of the day, 81 degrees, cloud, a little bit of sun, about 112 degrees track temperature, and these drivers set to go at it. Sykes on the inside, last year's USF 2000 champion, former multi-time USF 2000 race winner Jace Denmark on the outside. Field set, coming to the line. Green, 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 and a fantastic start for Sykes as well for Lockie Hughes, as Hughes will try to roll in around him, not quite enough, and wow, Jace Denmark comes across the bow from left, or right to left, rather, to hold the spot. Everybody clean and green through turn number one, and Simon Sykes, who won here last year in USF 2000 competition, leads the way into the keyhole for the first time. 3 wide further back, someone trying the outside line to see if it'll work, and it actually might have. That is one of the BN racing cars getting on the throttle early. One driver full 4 wheels off, trying to pick that up as they come back on. I think that might have been one of the VRD drivers. It might have been Nikita Johnson. We'll see as they come back down. There's the battle for the lead right now. You can see Jace Denmark, Arizona driver, now living in Indianapolis. He needs that first win. Has not got a victory as of yet. Simon Sykes has won so far. Won the third race at Indianapolis on the road course, so he has tasted victory this year. Jace Denmark, with a brace of second place finishes, needs that victory, especially considering the fact that he's 44 points behind Lockie Hughes right now. The 2 Pabst Racing cars pulling out and making a Pabst Racing 1, 2, 3 up front as Christian Brooks has got by Lockie Hughes as well. It's Sykes, Denmark, and Brooks, the top 3 drivers. In fact, Hughes has dropped back a couple of spots. I think he's actually back, into the 4 spot. That may be Nikita Johnson. Let's try to find out who's got that spot. Yeah, indeed it was Nikita, so it wasn't Johnson who went off the racetrack. We'll find that out momentarily. I think that might have been Nico Christodoulou, maybe? Yeah, Christodoulou falling to the tail of the field. That was the driver who went 4 wheels off coming out of turn number 2 for the first time. So Sykes, Denmark, Brooks, Johnson, and Hughes, the top 5. Tuschelski 6th, Mossman 7th, Skeets in 8th, Clark 9th, and Logan Adams holding station there in P10. Logan Adams, of course, the grandson of a longtime Indy Racing lead driver, Mark Dismore, a winner of many events and one of the most historic families in North American karting. The battle, though, coming now for Brooks as he's trying to hold off a charging Nikita Johnson. The 2 turn 3 cars right behind, Lockie Hughes in the 44, Danny Tuschelski in the number 3, and John Phippen, again, the voice of Mid-Ohio, joining me here on the broadcast as he has throughout the weekend. I'm going to say a pretty decent opening lap.
Not all bad, yeah. Everybody's minded their P's and Q's. Nico dropping a wheel off at the exit of the keyhole, about the only incident so far.
And when that happens, let's be real, it will pull you right off the racetrack. Depending on how it comes, you're doing the best you can to get back on the racetrack. Nico goes to the tail of the field. Everybody, of course, powering out of the keyhole, able to get around him. So he'll press the reset button and try to come back at it. He qualified up in the 7th spot, so he knows he's got race pace. And with a 30-lap race, this is a long run, he'll be able to work his way back forward. I think he's already got a couple of spots, getting by both Tyke Durst and I think George Garcia Arce as well. So we are rolling. The race is underway. Sykes, Denmark, and Brooks, these are the drivers who have pulled away up front. Pabst Racing 1, 2, 3. And you just got to think about Christian Brooks right now. He did 30 laps this morning, then an Indy Next practice, then Indy Next qualifying. Here he is for 30 more. Talk about really focused and testing all the fitness you've done over the last 4 or 5 months.
Although he's a pretty good candidate because he is ripped.
Yeah, no doubt about that. He is in pit fit a lot. He's wherever he is, this guy's working out, and he is indeed getting worked out right now to a certain extent by Nikita Johnson. Johnson second place in points, 43 markers behind Lockie Hughes, but that is the fight for P3 right now. In fact, yeah, look at this. That's 3, 4, 5 right there. Is Johnson's right there. Lockie Hughes is ready to pounce as well, and so is Danny Tuschelski, John. He is keeping up right there with him. He's running 6th on the racetrack, but I think kind of just biding his time, waiting for his teammate Hughes to potentially make the move by.
Yeah, exactly right. And, Lockie Hughes, as we've talked about all weekend long, he's got a big lead, 43 points coming into this round. He just needs to finish. If he can extend his lead, great, but there's, only 2 more rounds of racing left at Toronto and at Portland, so he just needs to keep on keeping on. If he's not able to get forward, don't take any risks.
And again, if you come to a race like here where they haven't been the dominant team, right? Pabst Racing, we know, has been very good. VRD with Nikita Johnson, really good. Lockie's just got to say, hey, okay, I had a 3rd place car to start. What can I do? Top
Right.
5. Well, I'll take this thing to the best I possibly can. Don't overcook it. Don't throw it away. Be super smart in terms of bringing things home. Rusty Bell, they're coming in front of you right now. Sykes as the leader. Or not. So there we are, coming down to the keyhole there, down into turn number 1, or the 1, 2, and now 3. Here's down to 4. Wow. Sizable lead, and there's the move to the inside for Nikita Johnson, making the move to the bottom of the racetrack. Johnson to the inside. Big move down the straightaway. He's been putting the pressure on, and that puts Brooks back into the 4th position. And really, that's stacking everybody up behind them as well. Liam Skeets has arrived on the scene. So has Frankie Mossman. So it seemed to me like Christian Brooks may have been stacking him up a little bit, although Johnson doing a great job to work his way by. Rusty, you with us again? Tom, are you with us?
I'm here.
And Steve as well? Okay, Rusty's just not coming in. So indeed, across the line comes Simon Sykes. There's that rest of the field. 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. Great. Look at this battle further outside the top 10 as well. This is what I love about this program. There are so many great drivers out here, especially when you get to the top rung of USF Pro 2000. This is when the drivers are really scrapping it out for position all the way through the field. So many of these drivers have already been through USF 2000. They've done a couple of years. The experience is there. A driver like Liam Skeets as well. Tom Michaels, I think they're going to be coming in front of you right now. We're going to see if we get Rusty back here in a second. But, Tom, I know they're coming into you, coming through turn number 4.
Yep. Front 2 already biased. There's a big gap back to the 3rd place car, Nikita Johnson, who took that position over Christian Brooks just the last lap.
Top 2 clear of turn number 9, but we're watching that battle for 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th.
Hey, guys, got to cut in
Johnson,
here. Yeah,
Brooks, Lockie Hughes, and
we got a caution here, guys. Caution on the racetrack. Hold up. Caution on the racetrack. We'll try to figure out exactly what that is. But caution on the racetrack. Do any one of our guys here have eyes on it?
Check.
All right, being told turn 2, a couple drivers off down into the keyhole area of the racetrack. Simon Sykes will bring them out of the carousel. So issue over in turn 2 in the carousel. We got 4 great laps of racing, and you can see drivers right there on the outside of the corner coming down the hill. Potentially a couple drivers off into the gravel, fight further back. As they come across the line, we're going to see which drivers fall. We can't see who it is from here with our vantage point, but watching drivers come down the order, Liam Skeets potentially and Frankie Mossman. Those 2 drivers just fell to the tail, and that was a battle for 7th and 8th. And, John, you hate when you see that, especially so early in the run. 4 laps into a 30-lap race, and you end up having some issues up in the keyhole. I know you open up or some guy can drive the outside. There's a couple different lines you can take there, but it seems so early in the race to have contact like that.
And Frankie Mossman had such a great race this morning. It's a shame that he's all the way back now, most likely out of the race, but going to go a lap down. He and Liam Skeets getting together.
So, yeah, both those drivers, of course, as we talked before, in the top 10 of the points. Liam Skeets, 81 points back to the point where he probably doesn't want to get himself any further back. That's a tough one for him right now. 81 points, you're still in the fight, especially with, 4 more events still to come, Toronto and Portland. There's a lot of points still up for grabs. He could be able to get on a run, but this is going to hurt him for sure. I would say about 5 drivers in the fight right now. Hughes, Johnson, Denmark, Brooks, and Skeets really are the ones in the fight. Danny Dushelski, 123 points back of his teammate Lockie Hughes. He'd have to have a big run in front, even a DNF for Lockie to bring himself back into the fight as well, even though both those drivers currently running 5th and 6th. The incident between Skeets and Mossman is going to move Clark up into 7th, Logan Adams to 8th, Nicholas Baptiste up to 9th, and it brings Braden Eves up into the top 10 as well. Eves started 17th. He is up into 10th position now. He was fighting aggressively, kept trying to find a way by Nicholas Baptiste, was looking to the inside of the keyhole, thought better of it. But the bottom line was that was an incident that probably didn't need to happen this early.
Tow truck on the way, so clearly it's a car that's not rollable, so they're going to have to lift it to get it out of harm's way. Yes, again, we apologize, having a little trouble with Rusty Bell's microphone, and he's the one who would have eyes on that incident. If he's able to get back with us, he can give a report.
We'll see if we can get that at the opportunity, but at this point, we'll just keep watching the drivers circulate around. We'll talk a little bit about those who are in the fight right now. Simon Sykes out of the gate strongly, and to be honest, Pabst Racing looked good. They were 1, 2, 3 for a time. It was almost like they knew they weren't going to be able to keep Nikita Johnson at bay. Here's a driver who's got a lot of momentum back again, the confidence of that fantastic race win here earlier today, knowing for sure that he's got to get himself back in the fight. He's 43 points behind. He's got to finish. Whatever he does, he's got to finish in front of Lockie Hughes to even inch a little bit closer in terms of the points fight. But again, when it comes down to the fight up front, Denmark looked like he's strong. Sykes was very good. Both those drivers kind of got out nicely. And for certain, Nick Johnson was putting the power down. But I like the fact that Sykes was out front. Again, this is a guy who won multiple races last year en route to being a USF 2000 champion. And that's again, one of those guys who get out front who knows how to lead, knows how to win. He's probably not going to get the mistake, especially when Jace Denmark wasn't close enough to start putting on the pressure.
You know, Simon's one of these guys that's been racing single-seaters for, it seems like, forever.
True.
He's been through all sorts of, classes. He's found a home here in USF Pro 2000, and, he's at the sharp edge of the field. I wish him well. He's had, some great success, but it just hasn't translated into that step up that everybody's looking for. And now he's at the top step of the USF championship ladder. That's a great sign for Simon.
Yeah, let's do a deep dive as we have some time here right now. This is going to be a more extensive cleanup, I think. Though a deep dive into the career of Simon Sykes, the driver up front right now. You talked about it. Here's a journeyman driver who never had the budget to be able to do a full season. He ran a bunch of partial seasons with us in USF 2000. He was a driver who would come in and put a new team up front into the top 10, right? He would get some great races. All in the meantime running F1600 races,
right.
Winning F1600 races, winning championships, going to the SCCA National Championship runoffs and coming away with race wins.
Yep.
He was just adding to the resume the entire time until the opportunity arose for a full season. Finally, it happens last year.
Right.
Not only does he get a full season in the program, it's with Pabst Racing.
Right.
One of the best teams, obviously, in the paddock. Augie Pabst getting behind him, putting him behind the wheel, and then, of course, he turns around and literally delivers, right? And he told us the entire year, if it wasn't for Augie Pabst, if it wasn't for what I was able to do to keep going in that year, they didn't have the full budget when they started the season.
Right.
He said, I'd be looking for a new job.
Yep.
If this doesn't happen, I'm looking for a new job. It did happen. He wins the scholarship. He goes to pro. He's already been a race winner here at Indianapolis. In my mind, whatever happens with Simon Sykes, where he's got to now, he will be a race car driver, whether it's in the IndyCar program, whether it's in sports cars, IMSA, whatever it may be.
Right.
When you come to this level of competition, 2 steps away from IndyCar, and you win races and you run up front, you have proven yourself, in my mind, as a driver who needs to be a professional race car driver.
Absolutely.
Right?
And if he has any disadvantage against the people that he's competing with, he's older. You know, so obviously, it seems like drivers at the upper levels of racing are getting younger and younger as kids coming out of karting and the ladder series that are available to them all over the world. And so Simon, he's not a senior citizen by any stretch of the imagination, but he's a little older than
Early
a lot
20s,
of these drivers. Yeah. He's in his early 20s. So somebody, I don't know if we want to take a chance on him. He's too old.
But what does that bring?
Yeah,
Maturity.
experience.
Maturity and experience, 100%.
Absolutely.
Now, being told, folks, that I think we have a potential look at the incident that we had over in turn number 2. Let's have a look at that when we get an opportunity here, the replay of the accident. Here it is here. So the leader's coming through. Look back a little bit further. Here's a good zoom angle. So the leader's coming out, Sykes, Denmark. You'll see Johnson. And then expect to see in a couple of corners here, a couple drivers get together. Here comes the 2 cars. This is side-by-side, Skeets alongside. Oh, okay. So actually coming through the corner there, I'm thinking there's got to be some kind of contact, John,
Sure.
but very quickly, Frankie Mossman, all of a sudden, the rear end just snapped loose. It wasn't like it was a low spin. It was like he was coming around the corner, whether onto the power or whatever it was. All of a sudden, that car just started to rotate.
Yeah, and I'm guessing there had to be some contact there. I mean, it didn't look like, it just got away from him.
Yep.
It's hard to tell from that camera angle, obviously, but it sure looked like there had to be some contact.
With Skeets going off as well, you wonder if it was some side-to-side contact potentially that would have kind of locked them together because he went straight off the racetrack as well, whether maybe the wheel got ripped out of his hands or something.
Sure.
That remains to be seen. Of course, we'll do a full debrief later on. I believe we're going back to green flag racing right now. Yeah, we are. The pace car is going to head on into pit lane. It's time to go back to racing. Lap number 8 will be completed this time by 22 still to go, and Simon Sykes going to handle the restart onto the throttle. Watch for his teammate to come at him quickly. Big run for Jace Denmark. Big lead. He'll go around the outside, but Sykes, a great job to the inside, not quite there. I guarantee you Nikita Johnson was ready to pounce. Like, just let me see a little bit of glimmer that I can make the move on. And still those drivers up front. And in fact, I think Denmark may have gone to the lead. Yeah, I don't think maybe a little bit of an issue there. No, I think that's Johnson to the lead. Nikita Johnson to P1.
It's Johnson to the lead. Johnson to the lead. They're coming through turn one. They were side by side in front of him, and Johnson takes the spot away, pulls away by a couple of car lengths here down the straightaway.
Rusty, any kind of issue coming through turn number one, or did he just power around the outside?
They were just side by side, trying to fight with each other, and Johnson took the opportunity and just went around the outside of both of them.
Contact over in turn number 5, and that is Christian Brooks being one of them. That might be the leader. That might be the point leader, Lockie Hughes, because one driver fully off was Simon Sykes. So a number of drivers off there in turn number 4 and 5. Contact in 4, and I know there's big damage to Christian Brooks. I want to say the left front. Give us a shot on what's happening out there, Tom.
Yeah, Simon Sykes, one of those cars, but he has been able to get away. We've got another one of the machines just in front of us, and that one's not going to get any place. And another one just outside the kitty litter over there, and it's got right front wing damage, but it's going to be able to move along as well. But we're going to have to take care of this car, and the sun is shining just enough so that I cannot get the number.
Yeah, Tom, that is the point leader, Lockie Hughes. And we always say you never know what's going to happen in these championships. The point leader, Lockie Hughes, able to continue out of the gravel, or out of the grass, rather. But the number 44 turn 3 driver, who has a 43-point lead, is out of the race. The driver right behind him now is the leader, Nikita Johnson. What a change of fortune here right now. We're going to have another look at it here. We're talking about a lot of the drivers in the lead group here. Sykes, Brooks, Lockie Hughes, somehow Nikita Johnson. Obviously, Nikita's the leader coming through. What happens coming through here? I want to say Lockie Hughes may have pushed out a little bit and got into the side of Simon Sykes, and Sykes goes to the grass. Brooks makes contact with Hughes, and they roll through. Denmark has gone to second. Logan Adams up to third. What a run for Logan Adams. Nico Baptiste up to fourth, and Danny Jashelski now. Here's the replay again. Have a look at the contact between the two drivers there. So indeed, coming down into the corner, man, I would love to see some in-car, because whether or not Hughes got up on the curb on the inside and maybe shot him over to the left a bit, something happened to Hughes' car as they come down into that braking zone. They're in there. Sykes is on the outside, and kind of on the inside was Hughes. And it looked to me, John, that he just kind of wiggled and then pushed through.
And somebody might have connected him from the back.
That was my kind of B plan.
Trying to check up, and it got into the back of that car.
And I think that would have been Danny Jashelski, his teammate, if indeed that happened.
Yep.
Let's watch that again. If we can, guys in the truck, if we can get that one more time. I apologize for continuing to come and ask for it, but man, we've seen it so many times. I'd like to see one more. We're kind of like trying to solve a mystery here, because everything's happening. You just kind of see what was going on the track there. What's happened is that 3 of the top cars are out. And not only that, we're talking about P1 in the championship, P4 in the championship, and P7 in the championship, with Hughes, Brooks, and Sykes. Sykes had that lead, as we know. Something happened in turn 1 with Sykes in Denmark. That allowed Johnson to take over the lead. And again, if we could see that replay one more time, it'd be fantastic. Johnson, Denmark, Adams, Baptiste, and Jashelski top 5. 6th, Eves. 7th, Montiero. 8th, DeTulio. 9th, Clark. 10th, Escoto. Let's have one more time at it, folks. Drivers coming through. This is it here again. Look at that contact. Yeah. Again, it looks to me that he may have just made contact with the curbing coming in. I don't know that it could have been contact from the rear, because the car obviously, John rotated away from the corner, counterclockwise, coming around the other direction. At that point, really, for Lockie, he's got wheel into it to try to, and then probably coming back the other way. Across the track it comes. It 100% goes into understeer, straight into the side of Simon Sykes. Christian Brooks, with nowhere to go, plows him from behind and damages his left front, and then allows everybody else to come through cleanly. Denmark somehow getting through. Great job for him. Adams, Baptiste, Jashelski.
Simon Sykes has at least been able to continue,
on the lead lap.
we were just bragging on him so we can eliminate the commentator's curse from Simon Sykes' problem because he was able to continue. But Lockie Hughes comes into this race with a 43-point lead over Nikita Johnson. Guess what? That's going to be 10 points.
Yeah,
at
Lockie
the best.
Hughes. I'm sorry, John. Lockie Hughes just came out of the pit lane, so he has continued too, catching the back of the field. So he's going to recover for maybe a few points.
You are exactly right, guys. He's just crossed the line, I think, to put lap 10 in. So Lockie Hughes still in the lead lap, although he's going to be well behind because I think we're going back to green this time by. Here's another shot at it here. Yeah. Every time we go closer on it here, it's just a little bit too late to see the close shot, but you can see the resultant contact of drivers essentially back and forth, pinballing back and forth between the contact. Whew. Wow. And again, listen, you can't say it enough, John, in a championship like this, with 33 points max to win, winning pole, fast lap, most laps led, it doesn't take much for a big swing. That 43-point lead. Now, again, Hughes has got a lot of time. We got 20 laps left. They're going to power their way back forward, provided the car's not too damaged. Had he been out and Johnson getting the win, you're talking about a 30-point swing, a 42-point lead, 43 massive.
Yeah.
Is now 10 points or 13 points.
Exactly.
That's nothing, and we've seen it happen here at Mid-Ohio before. Time to go back to green flag racing. Nikita Johnson trying to see if he can't go back-to-back jacks here today. Good start for him. Jace Denmark slotting back into second once again. Third is Logan Adams. A podium finish would be unbelievable for Adams, but still a long way to go. Again, that big flip at Road America. Team gets a new car into the shop, rebuilds it, essentially goes through all the little niggling issues that you have in any kind of new car, those pesky little problems, electrical, whatever it may be. They got through all of that over the last 2 days and trying to see if they can't come through cleanly here with a solid result. He was 10th on pace in race number 1. Logan Adams with the issues now running in the third position. A podium last year for Adams in Toronto in USF 2000. Could he get one here? But still a long way to go, as I said. I think even a top 10 is going to be strong for Logan. We'll see how it all plays out. Big move there. Nicholas Baptiste fighting it out here with Danny Jashelski. That is the fight now for 4th and 5th. Right behind them is Braden Eves. Again, Eves looking to see if he can't cap off what has been a tough year here this year in USF Pro 2000. His final race, having announced the fact that they will suspend his effort here at the end of this weekend at Mid-Ohio due to budget restraints. They'll look forward to 2025 and seeing where Braden gets to ply his trade. Here comes the fight again. Jashelski coming up the inside of Baptiste. I think they're side by side coming over the top of the hill. And they're able to get through. What a beautiful pass for Jashelski as he gets by. And Eves is going to stick his nose in, coming through as well. And there's going to be contact there. Around goes Baptiste. He opened the door to the inside of the carousel, and that's an old school move. When a driver opens things up, coming through the carousels, we have a front wing sitting on the front straightaway, just on the other start of the start-finish. Braden Eves is slowing coming out of turn number 1. Now, I don't know whether that's damage or is he just slowing because of the yellow.
I think that's his front wing.
Oh, that may be his front wing here. We'll have a look to see Braden coming through, but that's an old-school move. When guys come down into the carousel, a driver will release from the apex to kind of get back around, and you're there, and you just fill that apex. And I think that Baptiste got totally caught off guard as Braden kind of shot on the throttle there to get through to hold on to the spot. You've seen that happen. So I've watched that in so many old runoff moves.
I was just thinking that what Lockie Hughes needs now is another yellow because he was pedaling fast to try to catch up with the back of the field to see if he can make something out of this, and now this yellow is going to give him that opportunity.
And here's the replay, John. Let's have a look at it here right now. What happened? The replay lineup. So being told potentially a flat tire for Braden Eves would not be surprising at all. Here it is here. So this is Nikita Johnson rolling through. Remember, Braden Eves was back probably around, it's a battle for like 5th. So there's Eves, there's Denmark, there comes Logan Adams, and here's Eves moving down to the inside of the racetrack, down to the bottom, and just a little side-by-side contact, and boom, he literally runs over the wing, and that's going to flatten that tire. I feel like that wing might have got pulled around. There's Braden Eves coming through.
Right there.
And here's the wing here. Yeah, it gets pulled around by the 78, I think, of Alessandro D'Atulio.
It falls off just past the finish line.
Yeah, and more shards of the wing all over the track there. Listen, to me, that looks like a pretty clean move. That was down the inside. You can pass in the carousel when someone opens the door. And a lot of times, to be fast there, you're going to open the door. You don't want to be down on the bottom of the track. You're opening it wide. And if you leave it wide open, some drivers will make the move to the inside. That was an old school move there for Braden Eves, who has raced a lot here at Mid-Ohio. Crew out to get the wing on the front straightaway. The car of Baptiste coming into pit lane. shaking things up right now as it's Johnson, Denmark, Adams, Jashelski. Nicholas Montiero advancing now up into the 8th spot as here comes Eves in the number 92 to put a fresh left rear on the car. Man, he had a good run going.
Looks like the right front might be damaged too. I don't know. We'll see. It's probably because the left rear's down. Look, I saw the right front off the ground. It's probably just because it's tilted because of the flat left rear.
So Nicholas Montiero for D-Force Racing into P5. Alessandro Tatuus now up to 6th. Ricardo Escoto 7th. Matt Clark 8th. Cooper Becklin 9th. And Nico Christodoulou, who was 4 wheels off coming out of turn number 2, is now back into the top 10. Sykes has got himself back up to 11th. There's still lots of racing to go, folks.
Oh, yeah.
Ethan Ho 12th. Garcia RC 13th. Durst 14th. There wasn't enough racing to allow Lockie Hughes really to do anything. And so he's the 13th, or rather, he's 15th in the order. Baptiste into pit lane 16th. Eves into pit lane 17th. And then out, as we know from the incident earlier, Christian Brooks out of that race, that incident down in turn 4. Liam Skeets and Frankie Mossman from the issue over in turn 2.
Crew's still working on Eve's car, trying to get that wheel off. And let's see if they've got it squared away. There didn't seem to be a whole lot of urgency, and it makes me think that there may be terminal damage there.
Yeah, and you got to remember too, is there suspension damage? This is it. Yeah, Braden's actually already out of the car. So
Yep.
For a driver who came in here to a track at Mid-Ohio, knowing this would be his last weekend of the 2024 USF Pro 2000 campaign, his thought was, I want to do the best I can. I've won races here at my home facility. It wasn't meant to be here this weekend. He made a move there to try to get into the top 5. I like the move. It was tough on him. He is out of the car already. That'll be it for Eves. And again,
he started 17th.
Yeah.
So I mean, talk about a great recovery drive. It just wasn't the day.
In the end, it was not. Back to green flag, and we're racing once again. Nikita Johnson, Denmark, Adams, Jashelski, and then Montiero, the top 5. Danny Jashelski going hunting right now on Logan Adams. That would be for P3, the last position on the podium. 14 laps down. We're just coming to the halfway point when they come back around. Look at, I'll tell you, Jace Denmark wants a race win in a bad way. He goes side by side up into turn number 2, trying to get at it with Nikita Johnson. And maybe that's what you have to do. Maybe he knows, hey, listen, I can't let this guy get away. He had such a good race yesterday, earlier today. Denmark was there to follow him, right? In second spot, just didn't have quite enough to get by. I guarantee you, Jason, his head is like, I got to get by. I got to go to P1 here. I got to hold this kid back. Same goes with Logan Adams. He's watching here as the battle ensues between he and Jashelski. Further back, some wild racing with Tatuus, Clark, and Escoto. As I believe Clark, I think just got by Escoto, so we put Clark between the two BN cars, Tatuus and Escoto, for 6th, 7th, and 8th. Clean coming out of turn number 9 back into Thunder Valley. The opening lap, always the most precarious in terms of yellows, because as I always say, yellows breed yellows. The closer these cars are together, the more you can have another yellow pop up. Once they start to fan out a little bit here at Mid-Ohio, we'd get less incidents, more of an opportunity to go on a longer green flag run. Here comes a move for Clark. He gets a better run on Montiero. He's going to take him to the inside of turn number 1. Yeah, Clark by Montiero. Escoto was able to get by John over the carousel. Clark tried to follow him through, but thought better of it, tucked back. The better run out of 13 beats him into turn number 1, and he'll get that spot done. In fact, Clark's going to go to look at Escoto on the inside as well and bring old Cooper Becklin in here to do some fighting as well. The TJ Speed car right in the middle of the fight.
And the rookie ADT is there as well. So, I mean, great work, great racing back there for about 5th, 6th, and 7th.
I want to say this. This is what we expect at this level. At USF Juniors, we don't like the fact that we get a lot of yellows. There's a lot of incidents. Here's a 3-wide action as well. Who's going to back into that one? Sykes to the inside. I think Becklin to the outside. Or Becklin might have been in the middle. He might have been the guy that pulled out of that one, as Christodoulou was in there as well. A really aggressive move for Simon Sykes. I like to see that as Simon right now. He knows he's got to go. He's got to get himself back forward. He needs to get a bunch of overtakes here, hope for a yellow, and then fight his way back forward. But back to my comment on USF Juniors. We know we're going to have a couple of incidents. These are young drivers, and it's going to happen, right? And even to a certain extent in USF 2000 as well. When it comes to USF Pro, we don't expect anybody to make mistakes, especially if you're outside the top 10. If you're running 11th on back and you're struggling with something, finish the race, get the experience you want. We don't want to see guys wrecking for 14th, right? If you're up front doing it, so be it. we also expect more from these drivers. These guys have been in the program for a number of years. They know the culture of our series. They know what we expect in terms of these drivers trying to become professional race car drivers. And that's when we get sometimes the best racing, as they leave themselves enough room. And a USF 2000 driver moving up will tell you that. When I got up there, I threw it in there, and he actually gave me room, as opposed to getting pinched down on that you'll see in some of the other series.
Exactly right. Yeah, it's all about what they call situational awareness. It's all about knowing where you can put the car and get away with it, and also the trust involved that, you know, the guy that you're trying to pass is going to give you room if you need to.
That's it. And ideally coming up the ranks through USF Juniors and USF 2000, that starts to go away. That pinching move, that blocking down, realizing you get to race another corner. We saw Lucky Hughes do it in race number 1. He pulled out of a 3-wide battle into 4 simply to be able to make sure he could come back a couple of corners later.
Logan Adams going real defensive as Niszczelski is really trying to get around him.
Little wiggle there coming through. He gets a bit of an advantage, I think. There's Adams coming over the hill. I believe that is still Adams. We'll look at that. Yeah, indeed, because right behind them is a Scotto. Here comes the number 74 of Baptiste. Just a rough weekend for Nicolas Baptiste. The Colombian is not going to get one here. He's going to fall to the tail of the field. He'll end up in 16th spot. So the fight continuing here throughout the field. Becklin, Christodoulou, Ho a little further back. Lockheed Hughes is not attacked as much as I thought coming forward. You wonder whether there be maybe some more damage on that number 44 machine. He's now up to the 11th spot, so a couple of spots there for Lockheed, getting by both Cooper Becklin and Ethan Ho. Leaders starting to stretch away a bit. This is kind of lining up, barring another yellow, like it could be a battle between Nikita Johnson and Chase Denmark. Rusty Bell, would you say the same thing?
I would. I've been watching that gap grow. I think Logan Adams is holding up the field behind. He is driving real defensively at the top end. Danny Niszczelski tries a couple of times to get around. He's back too far, but behind him, these guys are trying to get around that car.
Yeah, big gap between the first two, and then that third place car, the 21 of Adams, Niszczelski. Well, he's about half a car length off the rear deck of the Adams car as they go through 7.
They'll fall back to about another car length, but watching that now as they come through turn number 9, it is Niszczelski looking for any way to get around, trying to find an opening. Driver left, driver right, couple cars spots back. Looks like a battle with Simon Sykes.
Two good things there, Steve. I think a really tidy racing line that last lap for Logan Adams. He didn't go on the defensive. I watched him in 4. I watched him come through 8 and 9, running the full race line. The beast right now is Simon Sykes. You are correct. He is all over. Made a big bid to try to go to the inside of Tulio at the end of the back straightaway on that last lap. Tried him again coming up the hill. Tried to go side by side through 5 and 6. It didn't quite pay off, but Simon Sykes fighting his way back forward here, curling in the 8th spot. And remember, so this is awesome for Nikita Johnson. It's great for Chase Denmark. Lockheed Hughes back in 10th position. Simon Sykes, again, in his mind, all I need to do is finish ahead of Lockheed Hughes. Right now, I just need to make sure I get more points than Lockheed, so I close up, whatever it may be. Right now, he's a long way back, but he's not all the way out of the championship. If you can keep climbing your way forward, again, all it takes is a couple of DNS for the guys up front, and you find yourself back in it. There's the move right now. I talked about Sykes to the inside. Book it. He makes the pass to the inside of turn number 4. John tried it a lap before, didn't quite get it done. This time more decisive, drove it all the way to the bottom of the racetrack.
And the next victim will be Matt Clark, as he's going to try to close down on him. Mac, the 2022 juniors champion in the inaugural season of juniors, and carried it forward into USF 2000, and now racing at the top level.
Steve Connolly out there, you see maybe a little bit of an issue for Adams over in turn 8 last time through?
Oh yeah, he came down and he clipped that inside curbing and got the car real squirrely, and pressure came real quickly from Niszczelski as he chased him up through turn 11.
Yeah, you can't make a mistake against this field, man. They're on full power. They're ready to pounce whenever they're possible. For me right now, Johnson versus Denmark up front. I'm loving this battle. These guys kind of checking out, getting the job done here right now. They are 5 seconds out. Both those drivers knowing right now they're going to be able to pull away even further. For even closer. Because remember, those drivers are 2nd and 3rd, but they're closing on Lockheed Hughes. He now all the way back in 10th position. I'm wondering how far Simon Sykes can come forward. He has a bit in his teeth right now, anger driving here, doing whatever he can to come forward, and knowing the fact that Logan Adams may not have P3 pace, but is using all his racecraft to defensively hold off Niszczelski, that's bringing everybody back into the fight. I don't know that Sykes would have a shot at this, at least even getting to the podium, if it wasn't for the fact that Logan hanging on for dear life right now, right? Niszczelski, Escoto, Clark, all stacked up. And right there is, as we know, Simon Sykes as well in that scholarship livery car. Right behind them is Detulio and Chris Dedulu. They're there as well. Hey, even Lockie Hughes and the like right there in the top 10. So I think this thing's still got a lot. Leaders coming out of 13, but this battle up front, I'm telling you, we're going to see Sykes starting to put the pressure now on Matt Clark. Sykes is going to try it. Watch for a deep move. We'll throw it back to Rusty Bell and over to Tom afterwards, because I have a sneaking feeling we're going to see a move out of Simon Sykes on Matt Clark. He knows he's got the pace, folks. He qualified on pole. Rusty, they're coming out of turn number 1. Let's see what happens when they get all the way down to 4.
We're watching them now. They go up into the keyhole. It tightens up to a car length. There's about 6 cars. A little bit of a brake lock up there. Keeping an eye on that. There's a change, though, back for the 5th spot.
That was Clark.
Take a look. Yeah.
That was Clark.
That was Clark.
It was
got
pressure,
around
Rusty.
for 5th.
Yeah.
Moves by down the straightaway right now. There he goes. Being hounded, though, Tom. He's going to try to hang on to that.
I'll tell you what, there's no real battle between the first 2 and then getting back to 3rd place. When we take a look back here, side-by-side action, the 78 of Detulio, Chris Dedulu, they were side-by-side as they came through 5 and now up through 7.
Yeah, that battle 3rd, 4th, and 5th right now. It's the 21, Logan Adams. He's got pressure, but as you look back, Simon Sykes continues to make his way forward, running 5th, Ricardo Escoto.
John, sometimes you make a pass, sometimes you pressure the driver into a pass. I was calling for the pass for Sykes down into turn number 4. The pressure he was putting on Clark caused a lockup coming into the keyhole.
Yep.
He didn't even have to do it. All he had to do was pinch the thing to the bottom. Clark's still able to hold on to the spot. He lost a couple positions there, but the bottom line is that was a big push there by Simon Sykes. Didn't want to give it up and made the move. A strong run. He's now up into P6. Love that pass there. And again, leaders out front continuing to dig. So there's Logan Adams. If he gets P3, he has earned it right now, holding off Danny Drashelski in the turn 3 motorsports car. Ricardo Escoto running in 5th. Simon Sykes, as we set up into 6th spot. He'll dig now, and now he's trying to roll up here on Escoto. I don't know if he's close enough to make the big move to the bottom of the racetrack coming over into turn number 4. We'll see that when the camera swaps, as here comes the leaders here. No, Sykes is going to try the outside. Oh, and he almost dropped the wheel. The left side wheel's in the grass. How many times have you seen a driver do that? You're trying to use all the racetrack on the outside. Big fight further back as well between, I believe, Chris Dedulu and Clark, and I think Chris Dedulu may have been able to get by there at that point. But again, there's that battle for 3rd and 4th. Then we got 5th and 6th, 7th and 8th, 9th and 10th. We're squaring off as Sykes drops the wheel. He is really hanging it out there. Drops the left side tires off the outside of the exit curbing, coming down out of turn 9 in to Thunder Valley. And again, he's got to keep digging, a chance to potentially get a top 5. Right now, he is 4 spots ahead of Lockie Hughes. So everybody making up time on the Aussie right now. Sykes trying to put his head back down. Good run for Chris Dedulu as the Canadians going at it. Chris Dedulu and Clark. Chris Dedulu to 7th, Clark to 8th, Lockie Hughes up to 9th as he's able to get by Detulio. So Detulio looking to try to get another top 10 in his debut weekend here. Clark keeps digging as well, but up front again, Logan Adams in 3rd. Always a little early turn in just to make sure that nobody tries to make that dive bomb move. Drashelski has shown so much patience right now, John, just sitting right there with him. He could have maybe forced the issue a couple times. Does he do it down in 4 and then we'll revisit his patience or not? He's going to try it on the outside. Oh, Logan Adams is going to go to the inside as well. They're side by side up to the bottom of the racetrack. Logan's going to try the top. Hold on to it. Not quite. That was a beautiful pass for Drashelski.
Oh, yeah, you bet.
Did you see the rotation? Look, Adams' car started to rotate coming up the hill. I thought we were going to see when we swapped to that next camera. I thought he was going to be sideways. This is going to allow Drashelski to take off. I think we know that he was significantly quicker than Adams, but Logan had that, I got a podium at Mid-Ohio coming.
Yep.
I got to get this thing on the podium. I got to reward all my crew that's been working so hard. Stay where you are, my friend. If you come home P4, that will be huge for your team, I guarantee. They will greet you when you get back to the paddock for sure, back to pit lane. Nonetheless, we are winding down a little bit. 23 laps in, 7 laps to go. He's got to keep his head down because Ricardo Escoto's up on the wheel, as is Simon Sykes. Lockie Hughes has been able to get by Matt Clark, so every step forward, Hughes minimizing the damage of watching Johnson and Denmark pull away 1-2.
Yep, exactly right. Little lockup there from Dushelski, I think, as they were coming into the braking zone for the carousel turn. And, trying to go high, wide, and handsome around the outside. Was that Cooper Beckler?
Yeah, on
It was
Ethan
one
Ho.
of the TJ Speed cars.
Yeah, on Ethan Ho, side by side coming down the hill through turn 2, the keyhole. This is Dushelski pulling away from Adams, who's really pushing his braking zones. And there's a move to the inside as well. Sykes. Oh, Escoto slams the door coming into turn number 4 rather. Pinch as it comes from drivers left to right across the bow. Hardcore as Sykes was looking to dive it down to the apex. There's that fight continuing, and Becklin gets it done. Cooper Becklin able to get around Ethan Ho, now up into the 12th spot. So all in all, pretty good run for Becklin here, continuing to find spots. There's the fight there. That is 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. Adams up the road by about a second and a half in 4th, but Escoto doing everything he can to hold off this gaggle of cars, 6 of them. It's Escoto, Sykes, Christodoulou, Hughes, Clark, and DeTulio. Man, and not that far back is the 9 of Monteiro as well in 11th position. This is great racing.
Sykes getting a good run through turn 1, Rusty. How's he looking?
Less than a car length now through the exit of turn 1. We'll see if he can pressure another driver. Closes right in, peeks to the outside, side by side at the entry, but he's going to go single file through the outside edge of the track. So we'll see. This may be the pass that he might try at the top end at turn 4. And there he is. He peeks out. He's going to be on the outside right now, side by side here at the kink. We'll see if he can hang on to it. They almost bang wheels.
Side by side into turn number 4. Puts the left side wheels off into the dirt. Sykes still side by side with Escoto. And off on the left side and losing several positions is Simon Sykes.
That is actually Christodoulou he's battling it out with right now. Escoto was able to get clean through as Sykes got pushed off a little bit to the outside of turn number 4, and he's got to try to gather it back up again because Christodoulou quickly there to capitalize on that and able to pinch Sykes out of the way. So Christodoulou continues his march forward as well. Started 7th, went well back, and now has got himself back up to, I believe, 6th position. With 5 to go, it's Johnson, Denmark, Dushelski, Adams, Escoto, top 5. Christodoulou now to 6. Hughes up to 7th. Hughes able to get by Sykes. Now remember, Sykes not really in that top 5, but still trying to get those points. But had the opportunity to gain a couple on Hughes. It's not going to happen. That's the issue when you're trying to go around the outside of someone in turn number 4, especially somebody as aggressive as Escoto. If they get wide coming out of the corner, you can often get pitched off to the grass.
Yeah, and the issue is that he had a whole lineup of cars behind him. Sykes has been so concentrated on what's ahead of him, probably didn't pay enough attention that Christodoulou was right there, and he and Lockie Hughes, Matt Clark, and ADT all got by him.
And now the battle is Escoto trying to hold off Christodoulou. He's been charged for blocking and ruined for blocking many times over the year, and that's essentially, he's running that defensive line aggressively here right now. Lockie Hughes looking to capitalize on both of these drivers right now as he's up to 7th again. As I said, every spot forward minimizes the damage for Lockie Hughes right now with the issue he had going off in turn number 4. Still wondering whether or not he may get a penalty for that, what could happen. He kind of instituted the contact. There's lots of still permutations that could happen after all of the video files, all those video discs come back into race control. They'll be looking through all the cards, the SD cards, to look at all that in-car video to find out what happened on the racetrack. 3 fantastic stewards here this weekend: Joel Miller, Charlie Kimball, Bo Barfield. There was a lot of racing, a lot of wins in our steward room here in the USF Pro Championships. 4 laps remaining as they come through the corner. The lead again for Johnson, about a full second. Denmark still wants that win, but he knows a second place finish would still be big for him. They're both going to close on Lockie Hughes, who is back in 7th position. Again, as I said, Johnson just 1 point ahead of Jace. Denmark had a run on the racetrack now. It's probably going to be more like, I think, 8 or 9 points. Johnson, as we know, has led the entire run, essentially, at least led the most laps at this point here. He has the fastest lap of the race. So good running here for Nikita Johnson. Didn't get the pole position. That belonged to Simon Sykes, but the fight's still underway. We'll see 3 to go when they come back around. Good battle here as they come down the hill again. This is a tremendous fight. Ricardo Escoto elbows up, doing every he can to hold off Christodoulou. It's actually given Sykes a chance to come back into it because he's been able to get by DeTulio already. Leaders already across the start-finish line, and they're just coming out of Thunder Valley. That's what I'm talking about, 5th on back. Johnson, Denmark, Dushelski, rocking and rolling. big time there. Logan Adams still a fantastic drive into 4th position. Again, remember folks, that's a brand new race car. He had a massive role at Road America, and to bounce back like he has, the mental side of it is just as huge as the monumental amount of work put in by the team to get this car ready for the weekend here at Mid-Ohio. Rusty Bell coming back to you at a turn number 1.
Watching Lockie Hughes trying to close in on the back of Christodoulou. He peeks down to the inside going into the keyhole turn. A little bit of brake smoke out of Christodoulou, but he's able to hang on to that spot. But we'll see how it affects that exit speed down the straightaway. They're all like a snake. They're trying to shake the draft. Here comes Christodoulou on the outside right now of Escoto. And there they're 3 wide with Hughes right there.
3 wide as they came into turn 4. Now they single file it. Coming up, it's the 77 with the position. Escoto still, and behind them, here's another car trying to make the break forward. I think it's Sykes.
Side by side as they head down into turn number 9. They'll get that sorted out. That's the 18 of Simon Sykes. He did make that pass before they got to turn 9, and he'll start to move away and try to chase down that next position.
Folks, I wish you could be inside the booth with me right now. John Fippin's got his hand in his head. He can't believe what's happening. We're talking side by side. That was the point leader, Lockie Hughes, throwing it down to the inside of 4, like trying to make it 3 wide into the zone, into the braking zone, into the apex. That's not going to happen. Simon Sykes, though, did get aggressive. He made a fantastic move to get by Matt Clark, so that moves him up another spot. Sykes goes into 8th position. 2 laps remaining here, folks, to wrap things up for the day. Just one more USF Pro Championships race, all part of this Tatuus Grand Prix. That'll be tomorrow morning at 9:15 for USF 2000, back into the triple header. But 2 more laps to wrap things up here. It's a 1.2 second lead for Nikita Johnson. He's about a 1/10 of a second a lap quicker than Chase Denmark. I don't see anything changing in terms of the drivers up front unless Nikita makes a mistake and drops a wheel. This is the fight we're watching. Dzelski's by himself. Logan's by himself. This is a scrap right now between Escoto and Christodoulou, and there are drivers there ready to pick up the pieces, namely Lockie Hughes and Simon Sykes. Escoto doing everything he can to hold off Christodoulou, who has had a whale of a race working his way back forward. Some amazing passes, some patience out of Nico Christodoulou, already a winner earlier this year at NOLA Motorsports Park in USF 2000 competition, electing after believing he was out of the championship fight after a wreck at Indianapolis to move into USF Pro, set things up for 2025. White flag has already been given to Nikita Johnson, and they're still holding them back. Look how much the field is still there, all between them and Escoto. You can see so many drivers all the way back to, I think, Garcia-Arce. Everybody else at the lead lap essentially within probably about 2 or 3 seconds. Escoto's done a good job holding them back, but man, he has been aggressive in his defense here, and we are not done at all. Driver drops a wheel coming off the corner as well. Again, onto the driver's left, you're seeing that's Dzelski. Everybody's so far forward now, they're gone. But the scrap here continuing. Can Christodoulou get to P5? Is it a top 5 finish for the Canadian, or does Escoto hold him back and bring one home for BN Racing? Check this out, though. We have 5 different teams in the top 5 right now. VRD leading the way, Pabst in second, turn 3, Comet Racing, BN Racing. What a great drive for all of these drivers here right now. And this is the final lap. They'll work their way down through turn number 4. Leaders actually coming out. We can come back to them because this is the leader here. Denmark didn't give it up at all, but talk about a day. Back-to-back jacks for Nikita Johnson. He wins both events here in USF Pro 2000. He and Denmark dominating the action. Let's get back to this fight. Dzelski's going to get 3rd. Adams is going to get 4th, but we're not done yet. Do we have any fireworks to cap off the day over in the carousel? I think Escoto good. He'll diamond the corner up to get a better run out of turn number 11 through 12 and 13. And indeed, Ricardo Escoto going to hold on for that position, P5. We have lots to unpack here, John. Escoto ends up in 5th. Nico Christodoulou in 6th spot. Lockie Hughes, after being backwards almost in China Beats, comes back to 7th, minimizing the damage of having 2 of his primary championship contenders in 1st and 2nd. Simon Sykes right there as well with Lockie Hughes.
All 3 of these guys were at the back of the pack at one point or another in this race. Christodoulou, when he went wide on the opening lap, Lockie Hughes got caught up, Sykes went to the back. They all got up to 6th, 7th, and 8th.
Impressive drive. Matt Clark ends up in 9th, Alessandro Tatuus in 10th. There's your top 10 officially results right there. Nicholas Montiero, listen, you got to go all the way back to Garcia-Arce because all these drivers were in that pack. Nicholas Monteiro 11th, Cooper Becklin 12th, Tyke Durst 13th, Ethan Ho 14th, and George Garcia-Arce 15th. Nicolas Baptiste ended his race before the halfway point. Braden Eves, of course, the contact between he and Baptiste ended their days. Christian Brooks out early in that incident in turn number 4. Skeets and Mossman ended their weekends here at Mid-Ohio in the gravel trap on the outside of the exit of turn number 2, the keyhole. Again, let's start unpacking things as these drivers come around. Nikita Johnson, let's just start with that. Obviously issues over the last couple of races, but put his head down and comes back here with a couple of big wins. For a 16-year-old driver, mentally, that gives you so much more confidence. Brings you back to center, I think, from where you were earlier this year. That technical DQ had to play with his mind a little bit, put his head back down, and he is closed up. It's not going to be as much as we thought, but he's going to gain at least 15 points, I would expect, back in the championship. It's going to be less than 30 points when we go to Toronto.
Yeah, just about maximized the weekend. He got 32 points for the race this morning, and I think maybe all 33 for this one. So, oh no, he didn't start on pole.
That's it, that's all.
But he'll get another 32, so 64 points. And that's going to close down that battle, as Lockie Hughes did a great recovery job finishing in 7th position, but that 43-point lead is going to be a lot less as they make their way up to Toronto.
Back-to-back podiums for Jace Denmark as well, huge, and I want to say 5 or 6 top 5s in a row. Jace has really settled in, but the man of the day for sure. Started the day off with a victory, ends the day off with a victory. In the podium, I talked about this mustache, right? He's telling me, well, maybe it's a lucky mustache. We talked about it between the sessions, and listen, I can't disagree with the guy. It's at this point, it's a lucky mustache. He may hold on to it for a while. We'll see. I think it's horrible. But
you obviously don't like facial hair.
Well, I can't grow any. That's probably why it is. Do not mess with his streak. This guy is pumped. Nikita Johnson does it again. A flawless performance, chased all the way by another flawless performance, Jace Denmark. There's his dad, Obi Johnson, in there as well. Team owner Dan Mitchell, of course. Keep bringing him over to run in Europe in GB3 as well. That's a big weekend for VRD. Yeah. Jacob Loomis and Max Taylor with a couple of victories on Friday as well. So Taylor's going to try to make it 5 victories for VRD Racing tomorrow when he wraps things up for USF 2000. So, again, last race of the day. Drivers will head straight over. They got away right after we're done. There is your unofficial results. John, I'll let you roll through those. I'll make my run down to victory lane. Get a chance to talk once again to Nikita Johnson.
Sounds great. Nikita Johnson taking the win. Jace Denmark in second. Those two, the class of the field, with almost a 12-second margin of victory over the third-place runner, Danny Deshelski. Danny did a great job, kept his nose clean in that third spot. Logan Adams held up a big crowd of people all race long for that 4th place finish. Ricardo Escoto also did a great job of defensive driving, maintaining that 5th place finish. But these 3 drivers, Nico Christodoulou, Lockie Hughes, Simon Sykes, all 3 of them at the back of this race at some point or another, and with a little help from a couple full course yellows, were able to get back into the fight and just drove the wheels off their cars. Great stuff for all 3 of those drivers. Nicholas Monteiro taking the 11th place finish. Cooper Becklin had a couple scraps throughout the course of the race as well. He comes home in 12th spot. Tyke Durst, a good finish for him, up into 13th. Same story for Ethan Ho. Garcia-Arce will finish in the 15th spot. Baptiste, tough weekend for Braden Eves. The car breaking after making a really well-deserved attempt at a pass there up in the carousel. It all went wrong, unfortunately. Christian Brooks, the same story with Liam Skeets and Frankie Mossman rounding out the 20-car field. So couldn't ask for better racing. It was a fantastic end to the day, and we've got one more race for the USF Championships tomorrow morning at 9:15, the finale of the USF 2000 championship for this weekend, as they are the only class of the 3 that have a triple header, and they will set off their final race at 9:15 tomorrow morning. As Rob Howden making his way down to Victory Circle, he'll have a chance to talk to our winning driver, Nikita Johnson, and also salute Jace Denmark and Danny Deshelski as well. Those of you camping here at the track tonight, remember, tonight is the night for the annual fireworks display. It'll go off at dusk. We expect that to be 9:15 to 9:30, somewhere in that vicinity when it's dark enough. They'll be firing off the fireworks. That all happens just to the east of the security gate. Basically, if you came in through gate 3, it's in the field off to the east of that, and that's where the fireworks are set off. If you're in the campground, you can see it with no problem, but you can come over and get a little closer closer to the action if you're so inclined. Rusty Bell's a bit of a pyro maniac, so he likes to get as close to those fireworks as we can. So he and I will be there enjoying them with everybody else as well tonight, as we get to sleep in a little more tomorrow morning, as the first race doesn't go until 9:15. The two-seater and event car rides usually take first bite of the apple on race day morning. And they'll have the track from 8 until 9 o'clock. And then, like we say, we'll have the finale for the USF 2000, their third and final race of the weekend, coming up at 9:15. That'll be followed by the IndyCar warm-up. It's a quick 30 minutes in order to get the Indy cars up to speed. Then the Indy next race. And it sounds like Rob Howden is on top of the podium. Let's send it back down to him for the final podium of the day.
Thank you, John. Indeed, down here in Victory Lane to cap things off here for today's Tatuus Grand Prix events. 3 events after, 4 in total on the day. An unbelievable battle here at the very end and some really good racing deeper in the pack. 5th on back was absolutely wild to watch. But the drivers up front were able to get away and do a tremendous job. And a great driver here for the guy coming up for 3rd spot. Give it up for Turn 3 Motorsports, Danny Dashelski, P3. Pressure on Logan Adams all race long. Finally able to get by in a well-deserved run to the podium for Danny here. It's been a great second half of the season. Again, you got to keep digging. When the leader has some issues, you got to make sure you maximize on points. Both of these drivers did that. Coming home in 2nd place today, making up big points in the championship chase from Pabst Racing, Jace Denmark. Excellent job for Jace, going to P2. But again, what a way to come back after some issues earlier in the year. Definitely back in the championship fight and winning 2 races here at one of the toughest tracks, a driver's track for sure. You got to give it up for him for VRD Racing. Back-to-back jacks for Nikita Johnson. Well, Nikita, it's a lucky mustache, no doubt about that. Congratulations. What a drive. Talk about how good that car was first.
Yeah, this VRD race car was just on rails. I mean, I can't thank the boys enough and Dan Mitchell. This car was amazing.
Pressure from the entire race from Jace. Did you know he was back there? Were you kind of taking care of the car itself?
Yes, Dwayne and Dan was on the radio, so they're giving me updates every lap. So I knew the gap behind me. I knew how to go manage the gap, keep in my aero wash, and then go push at the end.
We, of course, roll on track right after qualifying for IndyCar. Were you surprised by the grip that was there, the rubber that was laid down, or were you pretty ready for it?
Yes, the grip was a bit different this time, and it was a lot hotter, so it felt a bit greasier.
Let's talk about the championship all told. Obviously, you had the issues earlier in the year. Do you feel like you're back to where you were at the start of the season?
Yes, for sure. We were always there, just had a bad weekend, but we're back, and we're back in the points.
Congratulations. Who do you want to thank?
I want to thank everybody from VRD, Dan Mitchell especially, my dad for being here, my mom and brother back home, everybody in Florida. I want to give a shout-out to Beth and Mitchell, my second mom almost, and then Sky, she's 6, so hopefully we can see them soon, but just everybody in this whole program that's putting in the hard work, and you can see the results.
Nicely done. Get on top of the podium, grab that P1 trophy. Back-to-back jacks today, folks, for Nikita Johnson. Started off today with a breakfast victory, and it's an afternoon dinner win as well. What a fantastic day to bookend some great racing here in the USF Pro Championships, and 100% back in the championship discussion. Lockie Hughes finishing further back outside the top 5. That is going to open things up for all of these drivers to close up in the championship fight, primarily Nikita and Jace, who were just 43 and 44 points back, respectively. It's going to be likely within 30 points as we head to Toronto for a doubleheader there. Guys, let's wrap things up. The champagne awaiting for you here. Time to have it. Grip it and rip it. Let's celebrate the day's action here. Nikita Johnson, another victory. 2 in a row to put himself back into the championship fight. It is going to be a battle. 4 more races. The streets of Toronto are next up, and we'll wrap it all up at Portland International Raceway in the last weekend of August. Remember, they're all racing for over $680,000, a scholarship that will put one of these drivers into the Indy Next program in 2025. What a fantastic day here, ladies and gentlemen, for the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. We'll be back tomorrow morning, a 9:15 start for USF 2000. But that wraps up things here from Ohio. On behalf of Anderson Promotions and Continental Tire, my name's Rob Howden. Bye for now.